Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Lunch Break Live. Real talk about obesity, food addiction, recovery, and what's really eating you. I am Carrie Dela Cruz, so happy to be back today. Even though I was only gone for one day, it felt like a week. I think sometimes that this show is a little bit like air for me. Whether I feel better because I got to take a nice deep breath, or whether I was just suffocating in, life, and this gave me the opportunity to breathe easily. I don't know what it is, but let me just tell you, I need you guys as much as I hope you need this show. So anyway, here's the fun thing, okay? Yesterday I had this idea about a show that I was going to do, and then life got in the way. And then today I figured I would do the show that I had planned for yesterday. But again, now the day job got in the way, and I said, doggone it, I am not going to go another day not doing this show, so I'm going to wing it. And I started to think, what should I talk about? And then I sat here in a little bit of a panic, and I said, I'm sure I'll come up with something. And so here's what I want to do. First off, I want to welcome you all in. Thank you for sharing your Friday with me. I don't know if you can tell how I'm dressed, sleeveless, but that is because it is officially autumn in Southern California, which means it's 91 degrees outside. In my office, it's not 91, but the minute I set foot out to the parking structure, it'll feel like it. So that's why I am dressed this way. You just never know what you're going to get with me or with California weather, that's for sure. So anyway, I'm really grateful that you guys are all here. And today's show, I think I've decided to call it is Your Recovery Isn't Just About You, okay? Your recovery isn't just about you. Now, let me just tell you the motivation for this, and let's see if this makes sense, okay? We spend a lot of time focusing on ourselves when we're talking about treating our obesity or our food addiction and wanting to live in recovery, and when we're talking about our health, okay? Rightfully so, because we're the ones that are walking in our shoes. We're the ones that are living our lives, right? And so we do need to work on being the healthiest version of ourselves, and we are told not, to mind our own business, to not worry about what other people are doing. We are told that we cannot control others. And so there is this strange paradox where we say, okay, so I'm not supposed to worry about other people, yet other people are in my life and other people do worry me. Why? Well, because I think a lot of the reason we want to eat, a lot of the reason that we want to overeat or make unhealthy food choices or give in to our addiction is because of other people, how other people impact us, other people's effect on our lives, on our daily lives, right? How many of us say, oh, I'm just having such a stressful day. I have to deal with my family. I have to deal with my coworkers. I have to deal with my kid. I have to deal with all the idiots out on the freeway in traffic. I have to deal with all of the crazy people I hung out with at the county, yesterday, whatever it is, right? And we say to ourselves, I just want to eat. Oh my God, these people, they're all driving me nuts. I just want to eat. So when it comes down to it, we on the one hand, we focus on ourselves and we're saying, I'm worried about my needs and I'm worried about my wants and I'm worried about my feelings. Am I addressing those things? Am I looking for balance in those things? And yet, all of the other people in our world and in our lives have a direct impact on how our needs are met or not met, how we feel or don't feel, and what we want. Don't you agree? So our peace, which I think is the goal in life, and that's certainly the goal of recovery. We want to have peace with ourselves. We want to have peace with food, and we want to have peace with others, realizing that we can't control others. Okay? So think about that for just a minute, and then you'll begin to understand why I'm talking about others today. If you're anything like me, you believe that you are terminally unique, which means Nobody understands your problems. Nobody knows what you're going through. Nobody knows how much you suffer, right? How hard it is for you. Nobody walks in your shoes. You are terminally unique. Well, here's the thing. You're not alone, and you're not terminally unique. You are unique in that your experiences, your specific experiences, are unique to you, but that doesn't mean other people can't experience what you experience. The only difference is other people aren't you. But I think a lot of our trouble comes from a place where we say, I'm terminally unique. In other words, there's no one like me and no one understands me. And yet, how much of our lives are spent trying to get others to understand us? Which is kind of funny when you think about it. How could someone understand you if you're terminally unique? Understanding comes from a shared experience. Understanding comes from a place of somebody saying, oh, I understand you. I get you. I know how you feel. I've gone through what you've been through. Right? So which is it? Are we, trying to be so unique that no one can possibly understand us while spending a ton of time trying to get people to understand us? No wonder we want to eat. Trust me, this is the kind of stuff that eats us up. All right, so wanted to get that out of the air, out of the way there. Put that out there, all right? Our relationship with others is vital to our recovery because so much of our interaction with others, our frustrations with others, our anger at others, our confusion with others, our hurt, our disappointment, or even our happiness with others is what fuels our desire to eat or not eat, all too often to eat, okay? It is the thing that motivates us. And we spend a great deal of time, naturally because we're human beings, saying, how can I get my needs met? How can I be understood? How can I get other people to be more patient with me or more understanding of me? How can I get other people to agree with me? How can I get other people to recognize that I'm right? How can I get other people to stop thinking I'm a bitch? Yeah, I said that. How can I get other people to... We spend a lot of time doing that, don't we? Right? But we still have those needs and those wants and those feelings that need to be met in a healthy way. And we realize that only a certain amount of it is up to us. The rest of it comes from our interactions with others. Knowing that we can't change others, how do we reconcile this pickle? This crazy dilemma. How do we reconcile it if on the one hand we say you can't control others, and on the other hand we realize that we want to control others and that we seek that control because we're seeking peace with ourselves by having peace with them? How do we do that? All right, here's what I'm thinking. I made some thoughts here as usual, wrote them down. Not very many though, didn't have time. All right. I think when we're talking about others, okay? So let's talk about the experience in our own household or with our own families, okay? Because they're the people that we are the most familiar with, and they are the people who tend to be on the receiving end of our unhappiness, our frustration, our worst behavior, because we're like, oh, they love us. So, we reserve our very worst behavior for the people that we supposedly love, and then we're like on our best behavior quite often with complete strangers or the people we work with. Well, let me just tell you one of the things, and I think you might have heard me mention this before, one of the decisions I made in my recovery life several years back was that I was going to treat the people that live in my house with me with the same level of respect I treat the people I work with. Now, whether or not the people I work with deserve as much respect as they get is not part of the equation right now. But certainly the people I live with deserve the same level of respect and commitment and patience and, attention, compassion, understanding, all of that. They deserve that. The people that I love and live with deserve that. And so several years back, I decided that I would behave with them the way that I behave with people at work. And to that end, I decided that I was not going to treat my young adult daughter like I used to treat her when she was a child, where I would say, do this, take care of this, make sure you do your chores, make sure you do this, right? order her. I need you to handle this. I need you to take care of that. Whatever that looked like, or whatever our interaction was like, it was just understood that I was the adult, I'm the parent, I'm telling you what to do and you're going to do it. Okay? Well, I realized, would I do that at work? Would I say, I'm going to need you to handle this, make sure you do that, take care of this, take the trash out, clean your, make your bed, clean up your office, put away your damn Post-it notes, whatever. Would I do that? No. I would ask and say, hey, I was wondering, would you mind? Do you have time to? I would, if I'm asking their opinion, what do you think of? Would it be okay with you? Would this work for you? Whatever. I would have a much more respectful conversation with people at work than I would at home. So I began to treat my daughter the way that I do my coworkers. And I would say, hey, if you have time, do you think you would be able to X? Would you mind taking out the trash? Do you have time to do that? I began to treat her the way I do people at work. And the same with my husband, okay? I began to treat him, and this takes effort, by the way, and this required me to unplug from my default setting, my learned behavior, my learned way of communicating with him, and take a step back and change the way in which I interacted with him. And it has made a difference with them, I believe, but mostly with me, mostly with myself. And so I kind of looked at this and I said, all right, when we're talking about relationships with others and we're trying to have healthy relationships, as healthy as possible and as healthy as they can be given the amount of input or influence we do have, okay? I have 4 thoughts. I said, all right, let's say something's going on, whatever it is, whether you're home or whether you're at the office, whatever, something's going on. Instead of just diving right in or getting defensive or getting offensive or being, like explaining yourself or not wanting to take the blame or whatever it is, like the usual defensive actions that we have. Number 1, I have the choice whether to get into it or not, maybe, right? So, do I need to get into this? If not, don't get into it. Don't read more into it than is already there. Take myself out of it or put myself into it. All right? But these are all choices. So don't get into it. Don't read into it. Take myself out of it or put myself into it. Now, by looking at it on those terms, it causes me to say, first of all, is this about me? Is my involvement necessary? If the answer is yes, this involves me and my involvement is necessary, the next step is to say, what is required of me? And what level of respect would I hope that I would get in return? Because I'm going to give that same level of respect. I'm going to put that out there. If it is that I'm involved in this situation, that this involves me, and I'm going to get involved, first of all, I'm going to say, okay, if I am going to get into it, how am I going to behave? What is my level of involvement? And in order to do that, you can't be reactionary. You can't constantly be, cranking everything up to this high drama level where everything is about you and you're constantly, I'm responding, I'm reacting, I'm overreacting, right? So I have to look at it and say, all right, how does this affect me? In what ways? How am I being affected? Am I being affected negatively? So in other words, I'm required not to read into it, but to read the circumstances of the situation, okay? Now, do I have the opportunity to take myself out of it after I have said my piece? Do I have an exit strategy or not? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Therefore, if I'm going to be involved, because it turns out my involvement is required, and I am pretty aware, I've read the situation and I have a good understanding of the situation, I'm going to put myself into it in the healthiest way possible. So what this might look like is, I think a lot of us tend to either be overly emotional or underly emotional. Okay, over emotional or under emotional, right? where we don't respond, we don't react, we are completely cut off from, or we are, what's the word I'm looking for? Like just non-emotional, and apathetic. There's a really great word, apathetic, okay? Or we are overly emotional. We're like a raw nerve, okay? And some of us can be any one of those things. We can be on either end of that spectrum. That pendulum can overswing either way on any given time for a lot of us. I like to say that my usual state was to be over emotional. And when I got pushed too hard, I would go to the unemotional corner, I would call it, where I would say, I just don't care anymore. Now, how funny for a person that overcared to all of a sudden claim that I didn't care anymore. That was my shutdown. I've had enough. So in other words, it's really important to look at our default setting, how we traditionally enter into a situation, all right? Or do we claim that we're always getting dragged into a situation when that's really all about us and not about them? There's all kinds of dynamics at work here. So let's say my normal state tends to be emotional, all right? I tended always to take things personally. I always felt wounded and hurt, misunderstood, second-guessed, undervalued, not appreciated, criticized, insert any derogatory adjective, you want to put in there, all right? So if I was coming from that place all the time, then I was always coming from a deficit, wasn't I? So even if I didn't have an experience with that person, I was coming from a place of deficit where I was going to read into what they were doing. I was going to read in my normal script all of the things I knew about myself. And then I would speak to them from this level of heightened emotion, of woundedness, of being misunderstood, and I would be it would be too big for the conversation. So it might be, someone coming and going, did you know we're out of coffee creamer? What do you think? I'm the only one that uses it around this office? Doesn't anybody else use creamer? What, did you just think to come to me because I'm the girl? You came to talk to me about the creamer? Am I the only one that uses creamer? And you just, I get it. So you just think I use everything up and then I don't tell anybody when we're out of it and I'm just supposed to what? Go across the street and buy it now? Well, no, I was just wondering because I wasn't sure how much to use in my coffee. Right? Okay. I'm laughing because that is what we do with this stuff. All right? And then, because I have responded, I have absolutely dismantled and ripped the head off this person for asking me, how to use the creamer. And I have just had this all over them. Of course I want to go eat now because I feel pretty bad about myself for misinterpreting the circumstances, right? And I'm misunderstood too because God knows all of that has happened to me in the past, so I want to eat over it. So do you understand what I'm saying here? All right. So our interactions with others, even though we don't control others, I didn't control the person coming and asking me if I knew anything about the coffee creamer or if I used coffee creamer or whatever, right? I don't control that, but I certainly control how I respond, what I do about it. I may have all of these feelings welling up going, you said creamer. Okay, that person has no idea that I apparently have issues over creamer. My job is to not go to that place, but to instead wait a beat and go, excuse me, I'm just going to need a moment to, I have issues with creamer that you may or may not know about, whatever, right? Okay. I'm sorry, did you just ask me if I'm familiar, if I use coffee creamer? Okay, so I'm buying myself a little time, got to figure out what you asked me. What did you need? That's a really great opening statement. Oh, what did you need? So I didn't answer their question about whether I use coffee creamer or not. But guess what? This is going to help me understand why they're coming to me. Right? Are they coming to accuse me of using the creamer? Probably not. Why do I ask? Because I was just wondering how much to put in my coffee. Do you know? Done. So I didn't have to get all upset and agitated and irritated, and I didn't have to feel judged and blamed and all that stuff. You see? So just by taking that moment to say, why do you ask? Do you think you could do that in circumstances in your everyday life? without assuming that, you're being accused of something, right? That is that way that you look at it and you go, oh, what? Don't get into it. Don't read more into it. Take myself out of it or put myself into it. What thing do I need to do here, given this seemingly innocent request about creamer? Well, don't read more into it. Okay, that would be good. I don't know why I'm being asked. Okay. Don't get into it. Well, okay, I don't need to like make a federal offense out of it. But I'm not going to get into it with someone. They're just asking me an innocent question. So I'm going to withhold, judgment here. Let's see. Take yourself out of it. Yeah, I'm kind of in it. Put yourself into it. Okay, what's the healthiest interaction I can possibly have with this person? After I say, why do you ask? Perhaps they say, oh, because I realized we're out of creamer. And I'll say, oh, we are? Okay. What did you need to have happen here? Now, if I'm the person responsible for buying the creamer, I might say helpfully and calmly, oh, thanks for letting me know. I'll make sure I pick some up on my next trip. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm reinforcing healthy conversation. I'm not having it all over them. I'm not being, irrationally emotional. I may have creamer issues. I may not like the fact that I'm the one who's responsible for buying the creamer. But it's not that person's fault that I'm responsible for buying the creamer. They're just asking me an innocent question or trying to make me aware of something. How else am I supposed to know? Well, in this office, a lot of people put empty boxes on people's desks as a subtle way of telling them that we are out of things. Fortunately, it is not my desk upon which things are placed. It is someone else's, but let me tell you, she wants to jump out of her skin every time she comes in and there's an empty box where the Keurig coffee pods used to be, okay? So we bring a lot of stuff to our interactions with other people, and it's typically not healthy. Our experiences are not always healthy for lots and lots of reasons that have to do with us and don't have to do with us. For lots of reasons that we influence and lots of reasons we don't influence. It's absolutely true. But those relationships and interactions and experiences that we have with others absolutely define our peace with ourselves and with food and with those people. Don't you agree? So, I guess what I would say as you ask yourself those pointed questions, if I warn myself, don't get into it, or I say, do I need to get into it? And if I say, am I reading more into this than I need to? Or I'm cautioning myself, don't read something into this that isn't there. If I'm saying take myself out of it, then take yourself out of it and say, oh gosh, you know what? I don't really know about the creamer. Sorry, I can't answer that question. If I don't know, see what I'm saying? Take myself out of it there. Put yourself into it. I'm going to put myself into it wholeheartedly to do the very best job that I can and say, I'm not the person that orders the creamer, but if you talk to so-and-so, she might be able to point you in the right direction. So I'm putting myself into it in a healthy way. All right. I know coffee creamer sounds very innocent, but it's those types of things that add up, that compound and compound and compound and become much bigger things, right? Okay. Let's see. As I close, because I can always go on more and more and more about things, and it's gone long, as is usually the case when I have nothing to talk about. I'm not really sure how that works. Just remember, it is healthy to want to have our needs met. It is healthy to feel things. And a lot of people, and I'm going to speak to this later as well, say, okay, well, feelings aren't facts. Yes, but that doesn't mean you don't feel them. It's learning to interpret what the feelings mean and what the feelings will result in. Often the problem we have is when our feelings are fed in unhealthy ways, when we respond to healthy feelings in unhealthy ways. So recognizing that our needs are important to meet in healthy ways, that our feelings are important to acknowledge in healthy ways, and that our wants are what they are. And it's up to us to determine if they're healthy wants, right, or not. That all of that is very, very normal. And in order to assess the validity or the value of these things in our life, we have to take a step back. We have to crank it down a notch. We have to step back and look at our role in how it is that we have been getting these things met in unhealthy ways. What is our role? Are we having our stuff all over people? Are we getting involved where we don't belong? Are we reading more into situations? Are we staying out when we need to stay out? Are we putting our whole selves in a healthy way when we need to be involved? So that's where I would leave the talk for today. I'm going to take a glance at your comments to see who's here. I hope you found this to be helpful, because I want you to know these are tools that I'm using and sharpening every single day. And when I step in it and I don't handle something in a healthy way, I own it and I raise my hand and go, you know what? I recognize that. No, I didn't handle that the best way that I could have. Or, this wasn't about you. You didn't deserve that. You were on the receiving end of that, but you didn't deserve that. Or, you know what? That's something I need to work on. I can do a better job. Whatever that is, that humility goes a long way toward paving that road of serenity. I think humility paves a road to serenity, which is not to say a smooth road all the time, but it is in being able to find peace in crazy situations just by looking at our role and how it is that we're getting all of this stuff that matters in life fed, so that we don't feed it in unhealthy ways. So I'm going to look at your comments and then I'm going to let you guys go. And as ever, I'm so grateful that you were here. Wow, lots of stuff going on. Okay, here we go. My Kiwi pals. Marcus, you're back. And Dave, I'm so happy you're here live, you guys. I miss you when you're not here. Marcus, I miss your yes, 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 yes. And Dave, I miss your witty, sassy commentary. I love that. Self-deprecating, love it. And Mama, sandwiched right in the middle, that little kiwi sandwich. I see you popping up. I'm so glad you're here. Yes, you did make it live. So happy you're here. And Heather, hey, you're here. I'm so happy you're here. And Terry, and let's see. Oh, Sine, hey, we have a Kiwi trifecta. Woohoo! All righty. Let's see here. We're moving through. Jerry, how's Jeb doing with the little, oh my gosh, the parasite infection with your little baby pug? I watched her struggle and I watched you loving her up, and I just hope, it looks like she's turned the corner for the best. And boy, my mama knows all about what happens to our parasites with our little puppies. So I'm sending little puppy hugs your ways. Okay, underly emotional. Hey, I make stuff up all the time. Overly sensitive. And I'm going to speak to that one, by the way, Sarah, because that one used to bug me. People would say, you have to get a thicker skin. You have to stop caring so much. And I'd be like, I didn't like the option that was being presented to me. The option was thick skin, stop caring so much. And I was like, I don't want to stop caring so much. I want to always care. So the option that was being presented to me wasn't accurate. So I am definitely going to speak to that overly sensitive, underly sensitive idea, because I think it's often mischaracterized to us, which is why it is that A, we don't want to own it about ourselves, and B, we don't want to change it because it's not being represented accurately. But I think that you will find that there's some really good options for working with that wonderful ability to be emotional, to be sensitive, and to care, but to do it in a healthy way so that the people on the receiving end of it are getting it the healthiest way possible, and you are also benefiting in a healthy way. So I love that you said that, and I definitely want to speak to that. Fortunately, you do not use creamer. Yes, apparently I have major creamer issues that I wasn't even aware of. I had no idea where that idea even came from. It just cracked me up. Anyway, feelings mean we are finally living. Well, and again, I'm going to speak to that as well, because what we do with the feelings, we often connect behaviors with feelings. We say, I feel sick, so my behavior is I eat saltine crackers and soda, whatever that is, right? I feel like my blood sugar is low, so I eat a Snickers bar, stuff like that. So I'm going to be talking about the connection of our behaviors to our feelings, which doesn't invalidate our feelings. Maybe it recasts our feelings into a more factual way. So thanks, Sarah. I think you're awesome too. And like I said, you guys are awesome to me too, because you're like air. So anyway, you have creamer issues. Oh, honey, your creamer issues have issues. Okay, I'm just saying. I crack myself up sometimes, and I needed that because it's been a hell of a week today. I'm just telling you, thank God it's Friday. Alrighty. So listen, you guys, thank you for being here. It's right there. It's long. So I am looking forward to speaking to you guys next week. And as ever, please share this with your support groups, with your doctor's offices, weight loss surgery, doctor, bariatric surgery, if you think this might help, this kind of stuff. Because look, I guarantee you, your doctor's office is not talking about your creamer issues. They're just not. So anyway, share it with other people. Let's keep building this audience, because I told you, I'm giving you November. We have got to build this audience so that we can be reaching more people, and I'm going to need your help to do it. Build an army. I can't be an army of one. So listen, you guys, have a wonderful weekend. My Kiwi friends, you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday and Sunday. I will see you Monday. If you have suggestions for a show, please share them on my wall, and I will do my very, very best to address them in my usual, very opinionated and probably emotional way. That's not going to change anytime soon. So I'll see you guys later. I'm going to do my sign off and let you go. I want to remind you all to have courage, seek peace, embrace joy, and above all, live your recovery. Because remember, you can't stop feeding what's eating you if you don't know what's eating you. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye.